A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Mzansi Affairs. My name is Moeketsi, my man, and I am not alone. I have Mr. Jabulani on the line right now with me, who will be joining us all the way from Pretoria. Good afternoon, Mr. JP. Mr. JP, can you hear me?
Afternoon, Mo. Afternoon to our listeners and our viewers.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, thanks, and you?
I am all right, my good sir. Because now the weather is different. If I may ask, where are you right now?
I'm in Joburg CBD, Mo.
All right, I'm guessing we are experiencing the same weather. But moving on from that, please, guys, do not forget to follow us and tap and watch the stream on our social media platforms. We are live on YouTube, we are live on Facebook, also on TikTok. You can leave down your comment as we are going to be discussing the Minister of Finance speech together with the address that Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa made in terms of the budget vote for 2024. So please, you can join us, or you can send us your text or voice message on 061-524-7758. It's 061-524-7758. So, Mr. JP, for today we will be looking at the Minister of Finance speech, and looking at how the budget votes went, the government of national unity, the corruption inside, the government itself, and also the medium-term development. But most importantly, the point that we'll be looking from the Minister of Finance speech will be the fiscal outlook and strategy, enhancing and enforcing credible tax system, supporting infrastructure development and economically integrated cities and communities, National Treasury Department budget, EFF members hitting back at Ramaphosa and looking at the responses to the budget allocated. Also, we saw that the president responded on the budget vote in terms of the youth unemployment initiative and the integrated anti-poverty strategy that will be taking place, and also the budget vote and reflection on the work done in the government. So I just want to hear from you in terms of the budget votes and what the minister said, in which it's something that we are going to cover. Is there anything you were hoping for in terms of the budget that has to be allocated?
Of course, Mo, there is a lot that I was hoping for, but I think most of the things are covered because we're dealing with people that are expert in budget and intellectuals. So, meaning that most of the areas are covered, and but we just need to know what exactly is going to happen after that budget, because in most cases or every time when we have a budget, you can be happy in paper, and then when it comes to implement, and then it's a different thing. So all I'll say that I think the budget must go to the right people that are ready to work and do improvement in past areas that are leaking.
I mean, you saying that, I mean, we know that the reflections are made in terms of the work that has been done from the past 5 years right here in our country, in which is something that we will be closely looking at. And, just to get a glimpse, obviously we want to know what the president has said in the budget votes. Right now, let me quickly go to the speech that the president made in the day in Cape Town when he gave the speech in front of the whole nation.
Last 5 years, it has been a time of recovery, of renewal for the country. It has also been a time of rebuilding and refocusing for the presidency. With relatively limited budgetary resources, we have had to build capacity and act with urgency to tackle pressing issues. We now have a much firmer institutional platform on which to build. We have learned many lessons and have developed new ways of working in the presidency. As we enter a new era of inclusive growth and job creation, we will be able to put the capabilities of the presidency to much better effect and use. And we will continue to mobilize the skills, the capabilities, and resources that reside in the state. As the presidency, we will work to ensure more effective coordination, cooperation across various entities and structures of government, and collaboration. We will continue to draw on the knowledge and expertise of individuals and organizations across society. We will continue, Madam Speaker, to build meaningful social compacts to overcome the challenges that confront our people. Yes, we will continue to lead the work towards a better life for all South Africans and an inclusive economy that leaves no one behind. I hereby commend this budget vote of the presidency to the National Assembly. I thank you.
So, as you heard, Mr. JB, those were the words, from our president, reflecting on the work that has been done in the past 5 years and the upcoming administration, which is the 7th administration, and the GNU, as you've said. And he speaks about, distinguishing new ways of moving forward and making sure that the government works in collaboration and with partners to make sure that, everything works well. So I just want to hear from you. What are your thoughts, in regards of the president's response?
I think the response was they talk about renewal and building, mobilizing skill and capability, entities and organizations. So it shows that he's talking from experience. They have the insight and arrangement of meetings talking about what happened before and what should happen now and where they're supposed to improve. So as I've said at the beginning, that it sounds nice in our ears, and it's in most cases president come and give speech, as like now we're talking about like budget speech and so forth. But you know what, you just need a team that is right to implement everything that we talk about, and the laws to enforce everything in whatever that they agree on in whatever budget they're talking about. So now we're talking about a new different government. Before, as in like ANC was calling the shows and all that. Now it's GNU. So everyone, it looks like they are ready to work and do things right. So it's something that will say that let's see where the budget will be allocated and see if it's going to do exactly what we agree or what we heard from the Mr. Enoch Godongwana or president himself.
Yeah, because speaking of the Minister of Finance, Mr. Enoch Godongwana, he came forward also in the Parliament and gave the budget, the budget's finance vote, the finance speech, sorry about that, and looking at the fiscal outlook and strategy, in which is, the most important part that a lot of people will be, we're going to look into. So right now, I just want to move into the part of the fiscal just shortly, and then we will move. But I definitely hear you. I definitely hear what you are saying, in terms of everything that is being implemented to make sure that the finances of the country do not go into waste and support unnecessary services that we do not need. Okay, having some problems, but it's okay. I really hear where you are coming on in terms of that. But now, if we look at how the Minister of Finance, I mean, he spoke about the resources for service delivery. I mean, the fiscal also, it also aims to reduce the deficit and stabilize the government debt. Because we all know that in the past few years and past few months, government had to contribute, a lot of funds into making sure that the emergencies and the state of the national emergencies were covered forward, so that we can have, a better working economy. We saw things like your COVID-19 hitting the country, and a lot of businesses were hit and a lot of services around, and the economic drivers were also hit by that. I mean, it's very important to collaborate and make sure that when these future things come, the government is very prepared, and make sure that the finances and the monies are used responsibly, so that everything can be covered well, and then we can have a well-driven economy. So right now, let us take a short break, and then that's where we will cover the most about the finance minister's speech, the speech by the Minister of Finance, which is Mr. Enoch Ogodongwana. So please, guys, stay with us as we are going for a short break, and please do not forget to leave down your comments and tell us what you really think about the speech that was done by the President and by the Minister of Finance in terms of the budget votes that have been taking place. Do you feel like the finances are going to be misused, or do you feel like right now they have learned from their past mistakes and the finances are going to be used responsibly and work for the people? So please, guys, we are share online on each and every platform. We are streaming in TikTok, YouTube, also on Facebook. So please leave down your comment and tell us what you really think. Right now, let us take a short break, and then when we come back, we're going to discuss the speech by the Minister of Finance. Going on. Sure. very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Mzansi Affairs. My name is Moeketsi, my money, and on the line, I am not alone. I am with Mr. Jabulani right here. So please do join us on our social media platforms. We go by Share Online. You can also follow us on our YouTube and press the subscription button and notification button so that whenever we come each and every Tuesday and bring you all of the current news, you are all up to date and notified. You can also send us your voice note on 0615247758. It's 0615247758. So, Mr. JP, before the break, I was speaking about the minister's speech in which he touched on the fiscal outlook and strategy. The citizens of South Africa, as the public, will want to know what is the fiscal outlook and the strategy and how it is going to look like. So right now on my screen, let me share with you on what the Minister of Finance said when it comes to the fiscal outlook and strategy. So he said the government remains committed to the stability of the public finances to ensure intergenerational fairness and the preservation of critical public services. We also continue to strive to improve the transparency of the budget, maintain high quality data management and analysis, and to provide appropriate advice for the stability of the public sector wage bill and international development cooperation. Since 2012, the public finances have been under strain. Fiscal deficits rose persistently to such an extent the level of debt has reached over 5 trillion in the current financial year. This debt attracted debt service costs, which are estimated to exceed 380 billion this year. Crowd out desperately needed resources for service delivery. For this reason, our fiscal strategy aims to reduce the deficit and stabilize government debt through a combination of spending controls and revenue measures while supporting growth enhancing measures. We aim to narrow the deficit to 3.4% of the gross domestic product by 2026 and 2027 and stabilize the growth of debt services cost as percentage revenue. The financial outcomes of the 2023 and 2024 financial year suggest that we are on track to meet these objectives and express his appreciation to the committees of appropriations and finance in both houses of parliament, which have supported in the execution of the strategy. As you hear the words of the Minister of Finance, Mr. JP, he's speaking about the debt that the debt that the country has faced, the debt that in our fiscal the debt has reached over 5 trillion in this current financial year, and obviously the debt attracts debt services costs, which they also were estimated to exceed 380 billion this year. So it's that thing that providing appropriate advice for stability of the public sector wage bill and international development cooperation. These numbers and these words from the Minister of Finance, they speak into how much needs to be put into making sure that the developments and the changes are made inside of the financial environment of our own country and in the government, and how the funds are used to make sure that the money in the finance grows into making sure that we use it wisely in different departments. So I just want to hear your view, because he speaks about the debt that has reached, and obviously there are services that they will go through in terms of the debt service cost, which are estimated to reach 380 billion this year. So what are your thoughts and views about how the money is spent and how things are done, in terms of making sure that the budget is allocated in right places and we don't get ourselves into too much debts that will cost us in the coming years?
Let me be clear about one thing. If we're talking about the budget speech, we're talking about the heart and the brain of the country, because everything is going. What's going to happen is going to happen from that budget, and it simply means everyone and everything is affected with the budget. More special taxpayers and service delivery that we expect as individual and as a country, as a province and everything. It goes down like that. So numbers can't lie, and when we look at the budget speech, because it's a budget speech of a country, we're talking about big numbers. Some of us will die, never see that money. We just hear it here in budget speech and all that. We never gonna see it physically. So it's like there is a lot, involved here. So, but I love that he touch base in transparency, stability of the public. So, of course, the country was in strain of debts in some areas. More especially when we cover COVID-19. It's something it's what we call disasters. So obvious in most cases, even if we have budget, we can't have a bigger budget in disasters that we not knowing that what's going to happen. It's something that maybe we can say disaster or accident. So we just plan literally in terms when it comes to that, and then you find that the damage is big. So it means the country will stretch and make debts to cover such costs. So which strain the taxpayers, and some they don't even understand where the money goes, and it comes back to what Gaten did. Take out the list of the budget and talk about who benefited, who didn't benefit, and everyone is paying tax more. Whatever that you buy is tax. We're participating in tax. So there is a lot, there's a lot happening. So it needs transparency when it comes to that. So, and we understand in everything that they decide, and it needs to go down to people and coming back to people understand where our money goes. A lot of people they complain that we are paying tax, we've been taxed, and then we don't know where our money goes. So it's all about transparency and make that stability of public to ensure that everything that they do, it goes down to everyone who is paying tax and understand what's happening with their money.
Yeah, indeed, because when you speak about, taxes, we saw a lot of people coming forward and complaining about, how the tax always raises into the core of what they are getting. And obviously the people have also complained that, this government, it needs to really work on coming up with a new system or, an enhanced tax system that is going to work for South Africans, because we know that a lot of tax funds, they need to come back and be reused as the money that is for the country, and making sure that different departments in the government areas are well oiled when it comes to the funds. And then speaking about taxes, also the Minister of Finance, he touched on that, in which is something that we have to go through and understand what is the new tax system going to look like. What are the changes and what is it that they're trying to do so that we can have a tax system that is really working for all of the people in the country, especially the citizens of the country. So let us look at the enhancing and enforcing a credible tax system that was given by the Minister Enoch Godongwana at the Parliament. So he said on the speech, to enhance fiscal sustainability and stability, the department will come with the implementation of a credible fiscal framework to meet the government's revenue requirements and the promotion of a fair tax system. This will entail having to balance declining tax revenue with increasing government expenditures priorities. In its efforts to achieve this, the department will continue to provide responsive tax proposals that target improved environmental sustainability, less inequality, and more revenue over the period ahead. Additional allocation to SARS support continued efforts to rebuild the institution and improve revenue collection. At the same time, we will publish draft taxation legislation to improve the economic fairness and effectiveness of the tax system. We are speedily implementing the action plan agreed by the FATF, which is the Financial Action Task Force. The government is working diligently and collaboratively to meet all of the deficiencies identified and believes that an exit from the grey list can take place as early as the first period of 2025. And to support this initiative, the department is allocated a budget of 31.2 million in tax policy sub-program within the economic policy, tax, financial regulation and research program. The expenditure incurred in the first quarter of the current financial year amounted to 7 million rands, which constitute 23% of the allocated budget. That is the speech from the Minister of Finance, Mr. Godongwana. Speaking about the credible tax that is going to work for all. We all know that the money of the tax it needs to be spread around and make sure that the economic drivers are well oiled when it comes to money, and make sure that the policies they speak to what the structure of the tax system is all about. So right now, because the president also touched, a little bit on this, so I just want us to, play a clip from the president where he spoke about the integrated and anti-poverty strategy, to make sure that the country doesn't suffer, what it has suffered in the past 5 years. So I believe that, this also speaks to, how things are done and how things are as of now, speaking about the budget votes and the allocated budget in the rightful places. So right now, let us move to a video whereby Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa in Parliament gave a speech about the integrated anti-poverty strategy based on the budget votes.
The presidency has been working with other departments to develop an integrated anti-corruption strategy with a focus on household livelihoods. We've held 2 presidential health summits and adopted a presidential health compact which outlines the priorities we have identified and collectively agreed to undertake to strengthen the health system. One of the most important areas of progress has been in the implementation of the National Health Quality Improvement Plan. This initiative has led to the establishment of more than 420 quality learning centers, covering over 3,500 health facilities. And as a result, we have been seen significant improvement in patient satisfaction across various areas. A vital part of the drive to provide all children with a conducive environment for learning is the provision of school infrastructure. This includes the provision of safe and appropriate toilets. In 2018, we launched the Sanitation Appropriate for Education program.
Well, apologies with that if you guys can see my screen. Let me, restart the video and hoping that everything is all worked out so that you can see the president's speech speaking about the integrated anti-poverty strategy. This is what the president had to say in the speech.
The presidency has been working with other departments to develop an integrated anti-corruption strategy with a focus on household livelihoods. We've held 2 presidential health summits and adopted a presidential health compact which outlines the priorities we have identified and collectively agreed to undertake to strengthen the health system. One of the most important areas of progress has been in the implementation of the National Health Quality Improvement Plan. This initiative has led to the establishment of more than 420 quality learning centers, covering over 3,500 health facilities. And as a result, we have seen significant improvement in patient satisfaction across various areas. A vital part of the drive to provide all children with a conducive environment for learning is the provision of school infrastructure. This includes the provision of safe and appropriate toilets. In 2018, we launched the Sanitation Appropriate for Education program, SAFE, known as the SAFE Initiative, to mobilize public and private funds to replace pit toilets. Unsafe toilets have been replaced in 92% of schools needing safe toilets. The remaining 280 schools, which Minister Wahube and Deputy Minister Mhaule are going to focus on giving attention to, are scheduled for completion within this financial year. The Presidency has been working with other departments to develop an integrated anti-corruption strategy with a focus on household livelihoods. We've held 2 presidential health summits and adopted a presidential health compact which outlines the priorities we have identified and collectively agreed to undertake to strengthen the health system. One of the most important areas of progress has been in the implementation of the National Health Quality Improvement Plan. This initiative has led to the establishment of more than 420 quality learning centers, covering over 3,500 health facilities. And as a result, we have seen significant improvement in patient satisfaction across various areas. A vital part of the drive to provide all children with a conducive environment for learning is the provision of school infrastructure. This includes the provision of safe and appropriate toilets. In 2018, we launched the Sanitation Appropriate for Education program, SAFE, known as the SAFE Initiative, to mobilize public and private funds to replace pit toilets. Unsafe toilets have been replaced in 92% of schools needing safe toilets. The remaining 280 schools, which Minister Wahube and Deputy Minister Mhaule are going to focus on giving attention to, are scheduled for completion within this financial year.
I mean, Mr. JP, you know, where the president speak about making sure that, this integrated anti-poverty strategy will work, especially for the kids, and make sure that the primary schools and the schools, a lot of things are really, really replaced and, put into where they need to be. It also brings back to the minister's speech, when he spoke about the credible tax system. I mean, it's these kind of things that we need to ask ourselves, that where is the tax money going? What is it really doing for all of these years? Yes, we understand that there are debts and the cost of, debt services that come, in between those kind of things. But now, how are we sure that right now, whatever that they are saying, in terms of making sure that the budgets are going to be allocated and this integrated anti-poverty strategy is going to work for the people? Like, I really want to know from you that, together with this credible tax system that the Minister of Finance has spoke about, and together with the integrated system that Mr. Ramaphosa is speaking about, how well do you think those two, will be credible and work with each other?
No, I'll try by all means to squash it together. What the Minister of Finance outlined and the President as well. So let me start with the Minister of Finance, because he was talking about the execution plan, enhancing and enforcement decline priorities. Revenue collection that's in track. So it means he's dedicated to work hands with the presidency level to enforce that everything that is needed to be taxable, it must come together and make sure that it's happening at the end of the day. So coming to the president, what he's saying, the level of presidency dealing with anti-corrupt MPs and individuals, coming down to people that they make sure that everything happen. Like, I would say, let me say it like this, because if you're dealing with anti-corrupt MPs, it means everything is going to go well, and he covered the parts of improving in national health, improves, and sanitations for education. So that simply means that if we deal with our health issues as a country, and from the budget, it's important that everyone make sure that everything work accordingly. So which means the presidency must deal with anti-corrupt MPs, going down to the provincial area or until on the ground. So this has been happening over and over. So what we're looking for right now, it's simple, that we have a government of national unity. So it means it's going to work differently like before. So the president has selected the best team that is going to play a major important part and roles in governance, that all the money, all the budget, all the taxes that people are crying, where is our money going? There will be transparency and understanding that this money is going to do this and this, and they will see whatever that they've been promised. So I don't think people, they can complain much if they've been texted, and while they're seeing whatever that they pay tax for, it's happening. It comes to a point when you're paying tax and you're suffering to pay that tax, you're working hard, and your money is being taxable at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, there is no service delivery where you're going, there's potholes, there is a lot of complaint. So it comes to that. So if the president deal with the people that are corrupt and the people that were looting, it is going to be better, and everything, it will work hand to hand from government to people. So we won't have much complaint about where is our money going and what is our money doing, because there will be transparency.
Indeed. I mean, as the citizens and the public, obviously the transparency is needed in terms of the financial year plan that is going to go ahead into making sure that each and every sector is covered according to what the budget has stated. It brings us to the another point that the minister spoke about, which involves the infrastructure. I know wherever you are as people, when they see budgets, when we speak about finances, all you want to hear is money, and how is that money allocated to different sectors. And different departments. So right here we have from the minister's speech, the supporting infrastructure development and economically integrated cities and communities. We know that infrastructure, it really plays a huge role in this country, as we know that infrastructure, it makes sure that a lot of people get shelter, and factories that are meant to drive the economy of the country are built, and more jobs are really created. So right now I just want to go through some of the budget allocated right there when the minister spoke. So he said, to improve financial management compliance, support the monitoring and the oversight in the local government. To this end, and over the medium term, right, the Catholic Infrastructure and Development Support Program sub-program is allocated 94.9 million with an expenditure of 44.5 million in the first quarter. The conditional grants in the Direct Neighborhood Development Partnership Grant for 2024 financial year amount to 1.3 billion in the facilitation and conditional. So let me zoom in so that you guys can see what am I reading, because he also spoke about the debt at ESCOM. The grant complements the municipal debt to ESCOM relief measures and will target municipalities that are already part of the program. And also the grant provides a better efficiency in energy provision and integrate, the energy. All right, sorry about that. Yes, I am trying to, get a better view so that we can all read. So this one is where he was speaking about supporting the infrastructure development and economically integrated cities, right? So we can see it's a very long speech, but the most important part we must always take into consideration are these words when he said, I announced that the National Treasury published a revised regulation of the private-public partnership for public comment. We all know that when it comes to public and the private partnerships, we know that we always, get across with scandals and get across with the inequality that is happening in our country. So, just to get a glimpse of, again, moving to what Mr. President was speaking about, we have another clip from him, speaking to the public about the reflection on the work that has been done. So this is the clip of the president in terms of the work that has been done, because it has to cover what the Minister of Finance was really speaking about. So this was the president's response to it.
In the last 5 years, it has been a time of recovery, of renewal for the country. It has also been a time of rebuilding and refocusing for the presidency. With relatively limited budgetary resources, we have had to build capacity and act with urgency to tackle pressing issues. We now have a much firmer institutional platform on which to build. We have learned many lessons and have developed new ways of working in the presidency. As we enter a new era of inclusive growth and job creation, we will be able to put the capabilities of the presidency to much better effect and use. And we will continue to mobilize the skills, the capabilities, and resources that reside in the state. As the presidency, we will work to ensure more effective coordination, cooperation across various entities and structures of government, and collaboration. We will continue to draw on the knowledge and expertise of individuals, and organizations across society. We will continue, Madam Speaker, to build meaningful social compacts to overcome the challenges that confront our people. Yes, we will continue to lead the work towards a better life for all South Africans and an inclusive economy that leaves no one behind. I hereby commend this budget vote of the Presidency to the National Assembly. I thank you.
Indeed, working on an economy that leaves no one behind are the words that a lot of people needed to hear from the president. So, Mr. JP, because we do not have time on our side, I just want to get views from you and opinions on what needs to be done since the budget votes are out and the financial year has been distributed, there has been distinguished. So how are we really looking at it forward? Because as the president say, he wants to work on a country that leaves no one behind, especially its own citizens. So I just want to hear from you, the expectations and what needs to be done from the 7th administration.
Fair enough. More about what the president cover. He was talking about recovery and renewal with a limited budget. And he touched base on growth. Job creation. Mobilizing is what needed in different entities. So, in terms of medium-term plan, and public partnerships, it's what we looking forward at, So it simple means with the speech actually he really covers everything. So it's just time for them to have a right team to implement whatever that you are saying, because and most of the time, as I've said before, that presidents, they read the speech, and the speech have intellectuals, and they look at the things that we short of, and where there is shortage, where there's misleading people, and all these things, all these facts, So it's easy to stand in a podium and read such, The fact it remains that we need a team. We need transparency. We need law enforcement in such areas, where there is money. There are people that are listening to the budget speech and waiting to loot. Where are the loopholes? How can we steal this money? You understand? So such thing mustn't happen this time around. So he need to enforce laws and repercussions to people that are not paying attention to detail, because if we pay tax, we expect, and whatever that is been talking about and read at the end of the day, we will be expecting until at the ground, because president says there is a budget, there is this money allocated to such practices and everything. So we expect, if those things they don't come to us, it means we'll go back to the street, which we don't need that. We need to believe in people that we vote for, that they are not going to loot and they're going to deliver everything that we need at the ground.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. JP. Indeed, words from you that any listener and any viewer at home would really want to hear at this time of the day and at this time of the year in our country, going through the 7th administration and the GNU, making sure that we don't want them to misuse the funds, but make sure that the funds are really used in the right departments and the right sectors in our country. So thank you so much, Mr. JP, for being with us. I hope we will see you next week.
Thank you, Mo, and thank you for our listeners and our viewers at home. And I hope they will engage in our page and tell us what do they think about everything that we're talking about. We will really appreciate for their time, and hope to see you next week in person, Mo.
Indeed, Mr. Jabulani. And from me, Moeketsi, my money, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you next week, same time, same place, right here on Mzansi Affairs.